Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the weekly comic book roundup. We're doing things a little bit early because I'm kind of an idiot. We'll just leave it at that. Anyway, kicking things off, we've got X-Men Unlimited #1, Latitude. Okay, so last summer, I think, Marvel began publishing on their comics app a digital first X-Men series, X-Men Unlimited, taking the name from the old quarterly X-Men book that kicked off in the 90s. I think like the two big, this is probably going to be done in the first few parts of one is as one issue, then one story is one issue, then the first few parts of another story is the second, and it's kind of going back and forth till those two stories are complete, and then just, yeah. So, Latitude, the premise is that AIM has infiltrated the Peak and kidnapped 3 mutants. Wolverine has been brought in to rescue the 3 mutants. So he manages to get on the ship, cuts his way in, but turns out it was a trap. And MODOK figures one of the X-Men will be trying to prevent this, but it's all part of a MODOK plan. But yeah, so the ship self-destructs. Looks like MODOK got into at the very least the Peak computer. The mutants are needed for Project Tundra, some AIM project, but Wolverines his way through, getting information from the various AIM beekeepers, even if it's questionable information. Fights the MODOK AI computer core, and does manage to rescues the 2 mutants, or 2 of the 3 mutants. First up, he rescues Nightcrawler. But the other 2 have been taken to 2 separate locations. One's been taken to Antarctica, one to New Zealand. And so, Nightcrawler teleports himself and Wolverine to go rescue the first one in Antarctica. Turns out to be Chamber. But, yeah, more AIM beekeepers in the way. Chamber kind of lets loose when he's freed and accidentally kind of burns the hell out of Wolverine. But they went to when they got to New Zealand, however, the base was deserted, and so AIM still has one of the mutants, and we kind of see who it is. But it looks like they've got stasis pods for additional mutants as well. So, that said, it looks like the next issue for X-Men Unlimited will likely be covering at least probably the first chunk or so of the X-Men Green story, which was I remember reading about it. It was kind of neat. Or it could simply be you'll have an X-Men Latitude, an X-Men miniseries, and an X-Men Green miniseries. I don't know. We'll find out. I can't remember from what the preview said, so yeah. Anyway, moving on to our next book. Officially starting the Destiny of X with Immortal X-Men #1. Now, Immortal X-Men is said that it'll basically be the new Avengers to X-Men's Avengers. During Jonathan Hickman's Avengers run, there were 2 Avengers titles. Avengers, featuring the team doing Avengers stuff. And then you had New Avengers, which focused on the Illuminati, doing behind the scenes Illuminati stuff. This will basically be the same concept. X-Men will be more X-Men doing X-Men stuff. Immortal X-Men will be the Quiet Council being the Quiet Council. And let's take a quick look at this wraparound cover by Mark Brooks. I love this kind of sort of take on the Last Supper, basically. So, the issue begins, Paris, 1919. Mr. Sinister is sitting on a park bench, reading the newspaper. It says, the end of war, a peace for all time, when destiny arrives. Apparently, he's humming a tune, and he explains that it was on his mind. Apparently, they were both at the debut of it. She thought she had a fit, though. And Sinister's kind of like, that was you? I remember. It's sassy Sinister being sassy, because his mutant power is sass. I don't care what Marvel says. Mr. Sinister's mutant power is sass. But she tells him a war is coming. He's like, oh yeah, duh. And he says they should do what they can to always be on the winning side. But the world will change everything. She knows he's an evil man, but she fears that their fates are joined together, and whether they end up on the winning one or not, she thinks they need to be on the same side. And she whispers something in his ear. He says, "Oh," and then seemingly collapses and dies, bleeding from at least his eyes. And then Raven appears and asks Irene what she told Sinister. And Irene says to her, do you trust me? And she says, and Raven, I swear, this is like poetry. I wish I could come up with something as just beautifully romantic as what Raven says in response. If every part of this world succumb to dust, the last thing remaining will be my trust in you. What we have is immortal. And so Irene says, thanks her and begs her to never ask again. If Raven ever needs to know, Irene will tell her. But they must hope it never comes to that. And so in the present, we get narration from Sinister, and I swear, every issue of Immortal X-Men needs to be narrated by Sinister, at the very least, if not every X book, ever. In perpetuity. Because, yeah. But he's looking at his labs, some of chimeras, and just, But Magneto decides to resign from Quiet Council. And reading the commentary from Sinister is absolutely hilarious. Saying that it's a shame that Xavier wears the Cerebro helmet, otherwise Sinister would get to savor the despair in his eyes. But Emma is jubilant. When she discovered the true extent of Eric and Charles' schemes, she was incandescent with rage. She's focused entirely on the council now. She's had enough of useless men. Adding, Shaw smirks, amused, likely thinking either of the Hellfire's corporate bottom line or Emma's bottom. Though he is entirely under Frost's thumb, and her most reliable, if not trustworthy, ally. Kate, nay Kitty, nay Ariel, nay Shadowcat, nay Ghosty Girl, is more trustworthy, but she's also more, ethical. Sinister postulates that this will eventually, for her and Emma's friendship, this will eventually be a problem. But since Kate's running the Marauders, she won't realize bad things are on the council until it's too late. Exodus's nose curls in contempt as he stomps away, adding Magneto's name to whatever list of villains Sinister's is on. Apparently, Exodus despises Sinister for reasons that he electively, well, for many reasons, but that he electively became a mutant is certainly one. And Exodus likely thinks that Sinister is literally blasphemous. And a sinister secret is revealed here. Sinister is petrified of Exodus. Good reason. I mean, Exodus is powerful. I mean, powerful. Storm looks less surprised, having known. Apparently, Magneto broached the move with her. He's not sure why Colossus is on the council, likely because Colossus is a good man, making him a ballast against people like, well, Sinister. However, Colossus has been compromised by some naughty Russians. Complete mind control, no one knows yet, except Sinister, because he's oh so clever. Sinister also lists Nightcrawler as being in the "Why on Earth is he here?" file, because he's working on his Definitely Not a Religion, while being definitely not a cop with his best bud, the definitely not a huge danger with a terrible haircut, Legion. As such, his eye has been on the game, being too busy doing the equivalent of arranging seating in the chapel on the Titanic. Mystique is very much a player, and also holds a grudge against Eric and Xavier, as they said they'd only bring Destiny back if Mystique did certain things, but we're just bringing her along. The Missus was a precog. That is the one thing Moira wouldn't have on Krakoa. But now Destiny's back and on the council. His acquaintance of over a century, Destiny, Irene Adler, scientist, seer, saphist. And looking directly at Sinister, Sinister has to act surprised, and he slams his hand on the table and goes, "What?" And then asks to himself, "Too much? Was that too much?" But yeah, they argue, and then so it comes to decide what do we do about the empty Magneto seat? We've got not Sinister, but everyone's secrets, which kind of gives a lowdown on what's happened leading up to this. So yeah. But there are some interviews for the council. Angel, Monet, Gorgon, who simply says, "Me." Vulcan, who kind of states that he ruled an actual space empire, so he's overqualified for the council. Brand, that would be interesting to say the least. Beast, with a PowerPoint, with Kate stating as Hank leaves that Hank used to be fun before all the Black Ops, before he dated Brand. She can barely tell Beast and Brand apart. And she can't help but think that if they elected either, the one they didn't pick would assassinate the other. Asking if it was a bad breakup. And if anyone knows, apparently Sinister knows. But Kurt has they're completely unethical, and he doesn't trust either of them on the council. With Sinister overhearing and say that being untrustworthy is his job. However, Exodus corrects him, and he simply says, "Okay, our job." Plenty of unethical to go around. But Nightcrawler's just Legion. He hasn't volunteered, but Kurt could talk to him. But Charles, kind of says no, and he wishes it was otherwise, but he's still so unstable that they can't risk it. Apparently, also Xavier broached the matter with Namor. And no, and Xavier thinks it's mostly ego. Xavier suggests maybe one of the Iraqi, but Storm tells him that she talked with a few. They were not interested. Taking a seat without having to fight for it seems an insult. In time, perhaps, there will be a better understanding between them. It's suggested maybe Doug could be on the council, and Kate makes the offer, and he's asked if he's interested. He said, "No, they're not. They think it'll compromise everything." And yes, the plurality is meaningful. But Sinister has a thought. As is Exodus. Exodus' thought is hope. But the five do a resurrection. Exodus talks to Hope. And apparently she is, the five are practically worshipped on Krakoa, and she's been kind of worshipped for a while as well, just before Krakoa, including by Exodus. They think of her as the Messiah. And I mean, she, in looking, from the real world, she was the focus of three crossovers grouped together as the Messiah Saga. So I mean, or the Messiah trilogy. So yeah, but it's not something she's entirely comfortable with. Selene, the former Black Queen of the Hellfire Club, she wishes to. She wants it on the council. Mainly because no one on the council now, since Apocalypse is long gone, knows anything about magic. And guess what? She does. Then Hope comes in and says that it needs to be her. In fact, it has to be. In part because the five have been largely at the whim of the council. This is something that's been covered previously, like with New Mutants and and things like who gets resurrected, who doesn't. With the five ending up kind of overriding the council, basically saying that no, if a clone is a distinct person, then yes, that clone will be resurrected. If that clone is a mutant, they're in the resurrection queue then. For example, Malin Pryor. Also, there's the fact that, Mystique and Destiny kind of owe Destiny's place on the council in part to Hope. Everyone votes for the ayes and the nays. So Xavier, no. Emma, yes. Colossus, no. Mystique, yes. Sinister, no. Destiny, no. Which surprises Sinister. Nightcrawler, no. Storm, no. Exodus, yes. And so, before everything's tallied up, Sinister changes his vote to yes. And then Shaw and Kate each vote yes as well. And so we get the Red Diamond, some more immortal Sinister secrets, which we'll be going over on Mutant Monday. But Selene's not happy about this, obviously, and so she's basically going to destroy the external gate. By turning the bones of the external sacrifice to make it into a giant creature. So and in fact, Sinister also asked if Destiny knew this was going to happen, and why did she say anything? With Destiny calling him a fool, as he has never understood how her power works. There is no V future, there is no Destiny. And, well, Sinister's plan has gone awry, so he gates to his lab and gets out a shotgun. But he explains that a lock can be of a single mutant. Take a mutant gift, isolate it, and work out what one can do with it. He explains that he has a gun that fires cloned eyeballs of Scott Summers. Easy stuff. Really did it because it made him giggle. But now, Sinister has a plan because he's clever. And apparently, part of that plan is a series of clones of Moira with her X gene. But, so his full explanation here. He was a pure determinist once. He believed if you knew everything, you could predict everything. I found the limit of that approach when the Phoenix incinerated me. There is the truly novel, the unprecedented. There is the truly novel, the unprecedented. It was most annoying. I retreated to empiricism, to an experiment. Do an experiment and repeat, learning what you can each time. Classical science. The problem there is we have but one Earth. You cannot treat life as an experiment as one cannot repeat it. Or so I thought. Imagine someone whose consciousness moved back in time to when they were born, when they died, emulating that timeline when they did so. Now consider this. Take this individual, clone them, activate their X gene. As time progresses, upload whatever you want into the clone's brain. When you grow bored of the timeline, kill the clone. And then your earlier self can download whatever your future self had uploaded into that clone at the later point. Clever, yes? The problem with Moira McTaggart, she was a terrible scientist. Believing that a data set as small as 10 was sufficient to draw any meaningful conclusions. We get another breakdown of the Quiet Council. Another map of Krakoa, the Pacific Island. Along with a list of outposts and who recognizes the sovereignty. As well as what we know of the Orcus Protocol. And that is where the issue ends. And I gotta say, I want Sinister just narrating X-Men books all the time. Just, I don't care if he's in them or not. He narrates them. I mean, yeah, I'm sure he's gonna say some very unkind things about my hairy Canadian stabby boy, but, you know, it'll be fun to read. It'll be even funner, even more fun, with Deadpool being in Wolverine's book, and Deadpool can interact with the narration. Please? I'm not betting on that. It'd be cool. In fact, with the fact that Deadpool's gonna be folded into Krakoa and stuff with the upcoming relaunch of Wolverine, I'm kind of hoping maybe we get some fun fourth wall breaking in that regard, but we'll see. Moving on to our next book, we have the X-Cellent, number 2. Where we left off, the X-Cellent and the Ecstatics were fighting, and things did not look good for the Ecstatics. So we begin with the X-Cellent returning to the Zeithaus, barely. It's hard, and they're having trouble returning. So, Anarchist's son accidentally injured Vivisector. You-Go Girl was going to teleport them away. However, Zeitgeist vomited his acidic vomit into her face, burning half of her face. We also find out that Uno was discovered at an underground freak show in Georgia, half-blind, beautiful plaything of the owner's beautiful daughter. Zeitgeist really opened that Uno's eye. But the fight continues against the between the two groups. Joe Baum is injured trying to hit the Ecstatic's living wall. Is there no, of course not. But the Ecstatics managed to escape, and eventually so do the X-Cellent. But they had to take a cab, and yeah. And we learned that Zeitgeist is just more and more of an asshole. We also discovered how it is that Zeitgeist survived the Boys R Us massacre. he had an arrangement with Duke. Duke kept him alive, and he got to see his funeral, and over years upon years, was worked on rebuilding him. Dupe saved the Vivisector, and also explained that that Yugo Girl can easily be saved because of the full-length Predator duplex bodysuit that they're all fitted with. But Joe Bomb ends up dying. The X-Cellent, aside from Zeitgeist, bury him, and it seems that he's a jerk. And Mirror Girl goes to leave the team, but he manages to convince her to stay, and they go off to find a teleporter, Billy McMullen, who is in prison. Has to wear a special helmet so that he can't teleport away. The X-Cellent save him, and fight off the guards. And then Billy teleports them and explains that, warns them that the last time he tried teleporting a cat, its head ended up in Detroit, and his body in Maine. And so the issue ends at the beginning of the issue with Billy trying to bring everyone through, and Zeitgeist trying to encourage Billy to bring everyone through. And that is where the issue ends. Yeah. I guess I'm in on this for the moment. I got some chuckles out of it. You know, it's not bad. Moving on to our last book for the moment. Yeah, kind of a short one. This is probably the only short one, though. Star Wars Bounty Hunters were 21. Where we left off, Losha and Tonga's crew of bounty hunters were going after the Unbroken clan. So we begin. It appears that Tonga is having a dream of facing off her and her wife facing off against Boba Fett. Tonga's been injured, but it turns out to just be a dream. She contacts an old Sifak, an old friend of hers, who is trying to volunteer to help, but she doesn't. No, I don't want to bring anyone else into this. They can get hurt. Of course, Sifak has been hired by to volunteer for the mission by Dengar, so he's volunteering at Blaster Point. But on Corellia, Tonga and Losha's crew meet up with the Lady Proxima. She's having problems with the Unbroken clan. They've she's been bad for Lady Proxima's bottom line, and Lady Proxima's trying to get into Vakora, but her personal bodyguards include some of the best pit fighters in the galaxy, plus tons of Unbroken clan thugs. Lots of security. So the probe droids are hacked by 4LOM. Comms have been hacked. And Tonga is brought directly to General Vakora by Bosk and Tasso Leech. It's all part of the plan. She wants to be executed, and she says that she has a message to give to Vakora. That message? Chum chum. Which is the signal for the assault to begin. And there's some injury. None of the crew get taken down, but their boss gets injured, and Tonga takes out General Vakora. However, before they can leave, Losha points out that they've got a bit of a problem. The lower ranks of the Broken Clan are attacking, as well as it seems our Imperial forces. That's going to be fun. But that is where our issue ends. Fun so far. I'm digging this. I'm honestly digging all the Crimson Reign tie-in stories in Star Wars right now. But anyway, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.